Oh, okay. It says live, so that means we're live. Welcome to the show, folks. Happy Wednesday. Good. I've been so busy that me, the professional toddler, knows the redneck connector, proud and humble leader of the Hounds of Business community, forgot to celebrate April Fools. And then my 7-year-old calls me, Beverly, and tries to tell me it was so nonsensical I couldn't even pay attention. So, I couldn't even go along with it. I said, "You're supposed to be in school today anyway."
Listen, I've been running so hard. I realize that it's April Fool's and I'm still going, what is today? And everybody's looking at me like, really, this is the one day you don't know. Really? This and tax day, you don't know these 2 days in April. Come on, girl, get with it.
I don't even see. But hey, here's something to get excited about. All right. So this is to get excited about. Because even if you're not in a professional or have a business, physician, whatnot in healthcare, you got to deal with it, right? You or you have loved ones, we have, caregivers. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And any moment, anytime.
Living longer.
Then you got state laws, federal laws, right? Surgeons getting paid $300 for stuff. So I love doing these shows because who's fixing it? Independent people, right? Grassroots companies coming together, innovations. It's something to see, and it's a real big honor to be a part of this and to help get the word out. And thank you, my friend Beverly Neal Clinton, for bringing this star panel we're about to meet today. And real quick, yeah, go ahead.
There's a thing called good trouble, and I like to think that that's exactly what we're causing. We've seen enough of the bad stuff, so now we're being much more creative. And what's most important for me is that, again, we're not compromising quality. We are keeping our. Oh my Lord, my dogs are coming in. I thought my door was closed. Anyway, so there you go. So we are not compromising quality. We are still changing the world, and we're doing it in a good way. So yes, perfect timing.
Absolutely. So we're going to address this. I'm not going to go on and on. We're going to run the intro, and then we're going to talk about 10 to 15% claim denial leakage, things like appeal claims. Veteran coverage gaps. Boy, don't get me started on them. Workflow inefficiencies, underutilized advanced wound care. I mean, but we're not going to be sitting around whining. We're talking about people getting things done, solutions, and then
solution oriented. Yeah,
absolutely. Places that real people can go to find what they need and go to the next level. So this is going to be about operational clarity, measurable results, and restoring control inside independent healthcare practices. So, folks. Somebody in the healthcare space, hey, go share this. We're on YouTube, Hounds of Business, LinkedIn, Redneck One, Hounds of Business, or Old School Carrier Pigeon. Right? We'll send those too. So let's go ahead and run the intro. I will hit the button this time. We got the one and only April Wyatt back there. And before we do, I want to give a shout out to one of our multiple. This guy, he is amazing. He's heading up our media network inside the Hounds of Business. This guy is rocking it. So thank you for helping us always, for restreaming and putting it out there, Nathan. You're a good dude. And he was there early today, like it was a Grateful Dead concert. So, hey, bravo, my friend. Thank you for helping push out great message and great people like you see today, brother. Love you. And let's roll this intro and get it going.
Are you looking to grow your network and your net worth with other high-level, heart-centered professionals? Then grab a seat and your favorite beverage and join Mike Asherbranner, the Redneck Connector. It's time for the Hounds of Business Community Happy Hour.
All right, we're going to have to call the button wars. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead since we have our amazing guest up, Beverly. And everyone do us a favor. Take 30, 45 seconds. Let us know, who you serve, what you do, and the measurable outcomes you guys focus on. Give us the elevator pitch. David, we'll start with you because you had the best promo picture I probably had in the history of this show. And we've been around for a few years, man, radio included. So, yeah, David, go ahead, brother. Uh-oh. I'm contagious. Hang on a second. I think we had... There you go.
Now we're good. Hey, everybody. Yeah. How's everybody doing today?
Wonderful.
Good. Thanks for having me on the podcast. So my name's David Pareja. I'm founder and CEO of Pareja Medical Consultants. And we focus on helping, physicians in private practice to grow and expand and scale their operations. And we start that always by ensuring that they're getting all of their money in from the people that they're seeing coming through the doors right now with real strong revenue cycle management processes and education and consulting and billing and wherever the gaps are that will help them, to achieve that endeavor. So I come from a background of my father's a physician, so I've been around the business of private practice for 42 years and professionally for over 20, and have been solving problems with like this for doctors for a long time, and it's what I love to do.
So you help them get back some of that money they're not getting. Yeah, so you're like selling a bottle of water in the desert for 10 cents. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah, music to their ears, and I've seen a lot. So thank you for being here, my friend. I can't wait to pick your brain and share this with the folks listening.
Thank you.
Shannon, let's go with you, my friend. Who are you? Who are you serving? How'd you get here?
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me. So I'm co-founder of OptiVet Solutions, and we work with military veterans, helping them access non-narcotic solutions through the VA for free. And those include red light medical wraps for pain and inflammation, VR headsets, virtual reality headsets to help with PTSD-related symptoms of anxiety, depression, and sleep disturbances, and migraine relief devices to treat onset and prevent future.
Oh, sweet Jesus, I can keep you busy for eons with the veteran community. Woo,
Please do. We have just barely tapped the tip of the iceberg and so many to serve yet.
Yeah, I'm redneck John Cena over here with the military. So anything we can do, hey, it's done. All right.
Nice.
And I've got a guy that I got to introduce you to. We'll talk backstage. This guy's 86 years old and he's building a business. I love it.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. And Robert, man, hey, last but not least, Robert was here, 2 p.m.?
I was here probably around then, yes.
Yeah, you were a trooper, brother. Well, tell the good folks who you are and what you do and how you serve, brother.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the invite for today. I'm one of the managing members of a company called One Health Source. We have reps that work for us nationwide. I primarily focus on advanced wound care, non-healing wounds. We are a registered distributor with all the major manufacturers. And we built a platform that we call Nimble that is the first of its kind. It's free to the clinicians, and typically we'll save them 2 to 10 hours a week, allowing them, instead of going to multiple systems and platforms and having to learn the ins and outs, they can go to one platform, submit all the IVRs there, order all their allografts. It's an ecosystem and the first of its kind.
Wow. Well, let's get this party started because I know, we can nerd out on this quick, right? So let's do it. I'm going to break this down in kind of categories, right? Segments, infrastructure. Well, let's start there. So question, I'm going to throw it out there and Beverly, I either let you take it or you can assign it. So help me co-host because you know what you guys are talking about more than I do. So where are practices losing control and why don't they see it?
So Mike, I'm going to answer that question. But before I do, I just want to say that and each of these panelists have heard me say this before. They truly are the wind beneath our wings. Without them, we would not be who we are and who we're becoming. So I'm grateful for every relationship that I've established with them and for the open doors that they have for us. So in answering the question of where's the gap, doctors are not business people. Let me just drop that and leave it there. They're not. Their sole purpose is to heal patients. That's what they do. They can do that with their eyes blindfolded. But when it comes to the business portion of running their business, they're in overwhelm. They have systems that they're not familiar with. So when we talk about Nimble for Robert's system, anything that can save them time, that can just say, okay, can I just focus on this one thing? How is that going to help my patients? How can that save me time so that I can now go back and look at where the gaps are? And again, that also plays into what David does. They're able to see where the systems have errors, see where they're not efficient, make them more efficient, and streamline the process. Because let's face it, people are living longer. We're coming up with tons of new illnesses, and some of this, actually most of this, we can work on ourselves. So what does that do? That frees the doctor up to do the thing that they're supposed to do, which is help heal.
Yeah, and I love you phrasing that, because physicians tell me all the time, like, well, I didn't go to business school, I went to doctor school, or I do this. And, we lose sight that they're not doing this on purpose. Like, they truly got in here to serve and help others and really had a good heart doing it. And they have a hard time. We were talking backstage. Personally, for me, saw a lot of high-level people in the business for 30 years, oncology nurses, and they have trouble navigating. And so, I love when people like this come together and really, combine forces, partnerships and awareness to get this out here. So,
and David, if you want to tag in on that, when you're looking at a process, you can go ahead and take that over, because I've got some thoughts in the back of my mind that I can probably play off what you say.
Yeah, please do.
Absolutely. I've seen it all in the healthcare operations field, so many physicians, they would love to be independent in their own practice, but because of all the challenges that you're mentioning, it really stops these doctors from being able to have that autonomy and be able to practice the way they want, right? Big corporate medicine and running a practice can be extremely difficult. And so these doctors, they give up their hope of, having that independence, and they just throw their hands up and say, I'm going to go work for a group. I'm going to work for a hospital, and they kind of lose sight of the dream, and rightfully so, because collecting from the payers, these insurance companies, is miserable. Nobody is, everybody understands that. I think, whether you're dealing with, a claim on your car for an accident you got into, or some personal injury case, doctors go through this every day, multiple times a day, because with every patient that comes in, an insurance cycle starts. So they're not trained in how to get the revenue in the door. And that's why they end up having to go and work for a hospital system or a big group and really give up their dream of having their own practice. The situation where I came in with my father's practice was he was having trouble collecting from the insurance companies for decades, couldn't figure it out. And, when I came into his practice, I just really zeroed my mind and understand, healthcare revenue cycle, and really figured out how to solve it for him. And it really helped him to practice the way that he wanted to. And, that I've gone on and helped a lot of other doctors in the since then. But, it's really got to be the right mix of, the provider has to have the right mindset. They have to be open and willing to learn. They have to be willing to make adjustments. And almost all of them are.
And then Shannon, I'm gonna pivot to you, because now we're going to factor in, how do vets come into play? Because with me being in a very remote area, I am lucky to have my doctor, because if not, then I'm going to be back on the road for an hour and a half to get down to Albuquerque. So how does that come into play for vets? And Mike, and if I'm jumping in here, you just tell me.
Actually, I was about to private message you and say, you keep on hosting. You know what you're talking about. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do the symphony director here. And when it's time to go to segment 2, I'll interrupt. You're doing a great job. You keep going. I'll mess it up. Go on. I got other good qualities, but you guys are the experts. Go ahead.
So what we're focusing on with veterans is, first and foremost, public service announcement that they have access to the benefits that we share. But then the second piece of our mission is to help them navigate inside the VA. And you can use, My Healthy Vet portal, so you could talk to your practitioner via computer versus having to go in necessarily, and get access to them without having to drive an hour and a half. And the VA has declared that all veterans get equal care. So even if you're in a rural area, you'll be able to get access to the same things in a hoppin' and poppin' VA
And so something else that comes into play as a vet, a lot of us are medication averse. You know, we will take medication, but it is not our first form. So that's why for me, OptiVets it just like all the light bulbs started going off, because I'm thinking we can run these in parallel. So talk more about how red light therapy is now finally getting the recognition that it deserves, and my mapping program, which I'm off the hook about.
Yeah, we're about to bring in brain mapping and neurofeedback as well for the veterans. And so it's just near and dear to my heart as a PTSD survivor myself that did not want to medicate my symptoms because I actually wanted to get better, and you need to feel to heal. We are able to share these non-narcotic solutions with our veterans because so many don't want to be on the meds. And I look at, like, I'm not anti-medicine. There's a place for it, but I see it as a cast. It's to set the trauma or the injury. But the problem is that most don't have the protocol to take that cast off when it comes to medicine. So it gets left in place for too long. And as you know, if you cast an arm or a leg, that muscle atrophies. If you are casted too long with these pharmaceuticals, that becomes your energy, your spirit, your vibrancy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talk a little bit more, and again, I'm being selfish on this one. Talk a little bit more about the mind mapping.
Oh, okay. So this happens to be one of my favorite modalities that we're going to be bringing to the veterans. Is they will get, they'll be able to do a brain map. So, you go to a doctor because you have a knee issue, they can take an x-ray, they'll be like, this is exactly what's going on. Now we can actually take a map of the brain and see the wavelengths and where things are misfiring. Look how happy you are, right? So you want to know somebody, go get their brain map and you will have the intel. But then after you get mapped, you will get a protocol that is specific for what we're trying to retrain your brain. And the veterans will get 40 neurofeedback sessions in home, because it's really important. People don't have time to go to 40 different doctor's appointments, right? So it's in home at your convenience. And you are connected with a practitioner to help you on a weekly basis. And then you'll get a post-treatment brain map too, so you can see, and it's permanent. It will fix what is disrupted in those neural pathways, unless you have another trauma hit or something life-changing, it will stay put.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And now, Robert, I'm going to pivot here to you, because with Nimble, doctors are always looking for how can they get more time. They never have enough. They only have a certain amount for each patient. And when you factor in not having all of the information available, now I'm able to have it all available. Now I can see. So I don't want to steal your thunder on that one.
Sure, no problem. No, I got into the medical space about 7 years ago, and my career has been primarily marketing, advertising, and PR, and I can't do the things that some people can do, but one thing I've been blessed with is to have the ability to look at something and quickly understand the process and formulate ideas about how to streamline, how to make it more efficient. I've done a lot of consulting over the years. So when I got into the wound care space, I thought, why is it that nobody has developed one system, one ecosystem for all the doctors to go to? Because I'm typically on 5 to 10 Zoom calls a day. And the doctors, with wound care, half of them don't know the product they're using, don't know what the reimbursement was. They're typically leaning back in their chair and they're yelling down to Beverly down the hall, hey, what are we using and what's it called? And so, they'll open up, to your point, and admit, look, I never went to business school. I'm a caregiver. So with us, when we looked at this, I said, what if we were to develop one system that they could submit one IVR, select the product, select the manufacturer, send it off, and instead of waiting for that approval, they could go ahead and select the same IVR, select a different product and manufacturer and send it out. So they could send the same IVR out to half a dozen manufacturers if they wanted, instead of waiting hours or days for the approval, because when you're getting to the point with advanced wound care, it's pretty serious. It's someone can lose a toe, foot, leg, or their life pretty fast. So the clock's ticking. So we also said, why are we still using e-faxing technology? That's really old. We may as well use courier pigeon to send this information out. So we looked at a number of different things. So now reimbursement guides, marketing materials, all these things are in there. We can onboard clinicians with any manufacturer in seconds versus it taking days. And so we just looked at how do we streamline it, and what that translates to is an average to small clinic saving about 2 to 4 hours a week. The big clinics are 15, 20 hours a week, and that savings is money.
The savings is money. And again, that is the foundation upon which Healing for Wounds was conceived, was chronic care management. How can we help patients not have to deal with the psychological, the physical aspects of chronic wounds? Because something that we've all talked about before is when you're in that space, it's really not just you. It's you. It's your family. It's the people with whom you come in contact. It's the moral obligations that come into play. And everyone is just doing the best that they can. But, and you've seen this before, where you have patients who've had wounds for months and sometimes for years. And so now we look at wound care management, and we're able to break those down and recover the wounds within 6 weeks or less. I mean, that's huge. And amputations on average, cost $6 million. And again, we're going to look at how that's going to affect them once they now get back into the social of aspects of living their lives. So all of this, and this is what's big for me too, is everything that we're doing now is about innovation, but we are not compromising quality. And that is the other thing. Sometimes people run really fast, and then the quality of what they're putting out has been compromised. That is not what we're here about. Everything that we do here, we keep quantity and quality, and they're really a handshake, and they complement one another. Having said that, I'm going to give a real quick plug for Serve, Heal, and Recover, because that is what Healing for Wounds is growing into. Again, we've had a foundation for chronic wound care, but now we're starting to branch out and shake hands with other partners so that we can continue to grow and provide the ultimate service. As a Marine, and my partner, Tim, who is in the Air Force, was in the Air Force, it's important for us to give back. So the serve part was real big when we looked at how do we now want to navigate this whole thing. Now, Mike, I'm sorry, I've jumped in there. Now you can do you.
Hey, I am good. I'm happy. I'm taking notes. You see the steam rolling off my fingers. I'm taking notes. Seriously, I love connecting and doing, and y'all are going to get ready. But no, I tell you what, if you don't mind, because I'm not an expert, but I have to deal with the system, and then all that fallback I have, people like us have to deal with, right? It travels downhill. So on the positive note, but just like the regular note, I mean, just what I'm curious, where are practices losing money that they've already earned? Because I have friends that, work for law firms, because there's a lot of state and federal laws, that you have to do a Medicare, Medicaid, all this stuff. But then the laws were, I guess they were there to help recover the if the surgeon has a $10,000 surgery and he's only getting paid $300, that's a problem. So, like, where are they losing money the most? Because there's so many avenues, I can't even keep up. And David, if you don't mind, lead that one, because you deal with, denial trends and all of that stuff, and, untapped revenue. Revenue just leaves unrecovered.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, the issue is that, when on the revenue cycle end, there's so many like links in the chain to get a claim paid. And the problem is that the system is broken a lot of times at the front end of it. So it doesn't matter how hard the billers work on the back end, they're not going to be able to get paid because things aren't happening on the front end. So, most people in organizations think that they really have a billing problem, but it's really ends up being a leadership problem and a lack of knowledge in how to structure things operationally so that they can get paid at the end of the day. And I'm all about providers doing charity work, and if they want to do charity work and leverage their platform to help and heal patients out of the goodness of their heart, which so many of them do, wonderful. But if the insurance company is supposed to pay them for services, then they should get paid for those services.
Yeah.
But the insurance companies use every loophole and every strategy, and they write the playbook. And these doctors and their providers, they just don't have the time to keep up with it, which is where having a team that knows what they're doing, coming in and helping the providers to understand what are those steps that have to be taken to take that from the patient calling to schedule the appointment to getting final payment at the end from both the payer and the patient portion. And there's a lot of links in that chain, and if one of those links is broken, they don't get paid. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead. There was a delay on it. I have to know if maybe because I sit here around people like Beverly and you all a lot. These solutions are real. You guys are trustworthy. So why is this not getting out to more people? Is it just, is it mistrust? Is it just visibility? Why is this not getting done? Because almost once a month we sit down, have folks like you on doing amazing things. But then when you zoom out and look, you're like, they still don't, do they not know it exists? Is it a combination of resistance? Maybe they got burned. Like, what is the barriers that's keeping this and what you guys are doing from being the mainstream or being much more out there?
I can jump in on that, but I'm going to let someone else go, and then I'll just follow in.
Shannon? I'll start. Yeah, David and I see this on a regular basis. I think everything we do is about educating the clinicians. They don't know. And David's using this, so maybe I should use that product. And that's kind of the mentality versus them really being educated on what their options are. And until recently, when reimbursements changed with the allografts, there was a pretty big disparity, $100 to thousands of dollars per square centimeter. And it's about patient care first and foremost, but if the clinicians can't afford to pay a nurse practitioner or PA to do the work, they just won't be able to offer it. And when I'm on a lot of calls with David and his team, they're great to work with. And it's really about educating them. So I'll give you a good example, and I'll segue this into David taking the lead. We have one of our clinicians here in the Metroplex that we're providing their allografts for advanced wound care, and they have had poor service with their billing. And I'm dying to get David in there. I'm like, I know David can fix the problem. I'm like, he's the guy. He said, well, we're tied in with this contract, and really was somebody that never had formal training, because a lot of times you see it's a girlfriend or wife in the back room that's never had training, and they're responsible for getting the doctor paid on these things. Yeah. So I turned David over to a Dr. Nichols, and great guy, love the guy to death. And he said, look, I got a claim that's 2 years old. What the heck can we do? And I said, look, I'm not the expert, David and his team are, but I'll take a little bit of the info and I'll tee it up for David here. It's a 2-year-old claim, $170,000, $180,000. David's team looked at it, and this doctor is told by a number of people it'll never be paid. And in a matter of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he received 95% of that revenue, and he was told it. And to answer your question, Mike, it's because it's the wrong people that don't know what they're doing that require someone like Perea Medical Consultants to get the job done. And it makes us look like superstars because we pass off to David. He's like, I got this. And he's like, called me up. He said, we already got him paid. I said, you're kidding. So when no one could do it for 2 years. So David, go ahead.
David, real quick, because I want to point what you said out, Robert. You said, well, David's doing it, so maybe he'll do it because David's doing it. That's how the ecosystem works. But you're saying don't do it just because he's doing it. Let's get out there, you leverage those trusted connections, partnerships, and educate each other. Like, in other words, be intentional. Let me connect David with this guy because he has cookies and he has milk, right? Like, he has a problem, he has a solution. Taking it a step further, right, Robert?
That's exactly it. So what I meant by that was when I'm dealing with wound care clinicians and they're using product A, the podiatrists in one market are going to know the podiatrists. The cardiologists are going to know the cardiologists. And so they'll confer with their contacts and say, hey, what the heck are you using? I'm going to start getting into wound care. So just because that person recommended it, they use that instead of really understanding you've got more than chocolate, vanilla, strawberry to choose from. So they use it, and it's like nails on a chalkboard, just like it is with the stuff that David deals with.
Man, that's eye-opening. David, please put the icing on the cake, my friend.
One of the challenges that a lot of these providers have is, they trust people who are in a position that they're not prepared to handle. And it's unfortunate, but it costs the providers a lot of money. And then when they do trust, they get burned. So they're kind of whipsawed back and forth, and that's one of the challenges that, we deal with in the industry is they've, been introduced to other vendors and they've used, billing companies, or they've had people in-house and they've, promised, oh, we can do this and we can do that. And they don't get the results, or, they lose more money, and it really hurts the practice. I was on the phone with the provider yesterday and he was telling me, he's like, I'm having cash flow issues. And I said, I get it. I mean, I've been in those shoes with those cash flow issues, running an operation and figuring it out, and figuring out how do we fix the cash flow issues. And it was all a billing issue. I mean, and ultimately it was a billing issue. But with the case that Robert was discussing with Dr. Nichols, he had been told by his outsourced vendor, write it off, and he wrote it off. But something didn't sit well with him. Like, he just didn't feel like it should be written off because of all the steps that had been taken. And that's why he decided to, turn the claim over, the series of claims over to us. 100, like Robert said, was about 170,000 worth. And I told my team, I said, we're going to fight for this money, and we're going to figure out where the loophole is, and we're going to get this doctor paid. And sure enough, like Robert had said, within 2 weeks, we got 90% of the claims paid, and so $150,000 that the other team had written off. This happens all the time in healthcare.
Wow.
All the time. And, what a lot of these companies do, and vendors, is they don't actually sit there and actually work the claims and figure out why the claims weren't paid, and then give that intel back to the provider to help them so they can fix it at the front end. Bar none, any physician in practice that is running the operation and running their business, they are suffering from a lack of knowledge on how to run their practice, which is where the whole doctors aren't businessmen. It's because they were never trained to be businessmen, right?
Right.
And so what my goal when I go into a practice and tell all my doctors, and Robert's heard me tell this to several of them, I want to take the veil off of their eyes, and I want to help give them visibility into their operation to make them dangerous within their operation so that they know what questions to ask and what to look for, so they can run their practice the way they need to run it for it to be able to grow and scale. Without the revenue coming in for doing the work, then that cannot be possible. But the business of private practice can be a very, very rewarding in so many ways, because when the clinician can focus on the outcome of the patient treatment and really zero in on the healing of the patient, because they know, and they're not worried in the back of their mind about getting paid, because they're running a business for, everybody thinks I grew up, you're a doctor's kid, you're rich.
Right.
I went through it. Like I saw it. I experienced it, right? The trouble and the trauma that creates in a physician home, a private practice, that no, you're not really getting paid for the work you're doing. You're doing charity work because you don't understand how to deal with the payers.
So it's very similar. I got excited. I was trying to hold my excitement. Beverly's selling. So again, if you take trusted partnerships, combine that with real education, and you can get a lot done. But it's the trust factor. They've been burnt, like business. I mean, in general, they've been burned. So now it's kind of like, I don't trust anyone. That's a daggum shame, because there are trustworthy people. And that's why we do shows like this, and we come together and refer and say, hey, Shannon is good people, right? And that's why you should meet with Shannon. I wouldn't put my name on her if she wasn't. And that's where we break the barriers down. And then you get paid what you're worth, because you went to school and paid $100,000 minimum to go there. And now the patients are better because they're getting what they need, not the doctor worried about money and everything else, keep the lights on. So Shannon, let's go to you, because again, veterans, and folks chime in if you got it, but it's so sad, so sad when the veteran community so why are veterans still underserved when coverage already exists?
Oh, well, there's so much money for the veterans. The VA has upwards of almost $1 billion budget for these non-narcotic solutions. And if they don't spend it, they lose it. So it's not like we should save this and keep it in a kitty. No, they lose it the next year if they don't use it. So, David, first of all, I really appreciate what you're doing. And this is the first time I'm meeting you and hearing this, because I'm a graduate of a health coaching school. And like any practitioner out there, like we enroll to serve and to help fix and heal and make people better. And in my school, we got very minimal education on how to start a business or run a business. So many of us burnt out because we couldn't figure it out. And this is what's happening with our doctors too. Like, I feel so bad for the doctors out there, because they're working around the clock and they're not making what they deserve. And the wrong people are calling the shots, and the end user is the one suffering. So when it comes to so thank you for what you do. There is a real need for that. And I hope that more people are introduced to you, and that you're so busy that you're working around the clock, because it's really important. It's a huge gap. As far as the veterans go, I believe that it's an education problem, it's an awareness problem, and it's a communication problem. And not on the veterans' part so much, but internally inside the VA, it's maddening. I had a call today and I was saying, it's crazy how, we're dealing with military that deals with systems and duplication and processes. And the VA is so broken on the inside that everybody's doing something different. And one practitioner might be like, I've never heard of that. We don't offer that. Or one practitioner might be so excited about it, and the prosthetics department is like, no, we don't have access to that. And it's like, what are we doing, you guys? This is a communication problem. So I think that, there's funding to be had. It's a communication, it's an awareness problem that our veterans don't know how to go advocate for themselves. They're so frustrated because the inside is so broken, and one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing. So that's where we come in at OptiVet Solutions. Is first, let's make the veteran aware. Let's hold their hand in advocating for themselves, because they're burnt out. They're not healthy. They're tired. They're exhausted. They are in trauma. And so we hold their hand and we help them through the process. And then we have boots on the ground, which is so great. And we have we are service disabled, veteran owned small business, all behind the scenes. And so we have veteran boots on the ground that can go into the VAs and make appointments with the practitioners and the prosthetics department and educate them on these services that we all have access to, and is completely 1,000% funded by the government.
So, Mike, I was going to pull in on this. So, there's a practice I've been working with here. 2 doctors, 1 doctor as well as the office manager are totally on board. Other doctor, not so much. So the deal didn't happen because of this doctor. I tell you, I'm not going to say it's clean living, but this is just how it all worked out. I have adopted so many folks along the way who are sons and daughters of mine. Ironically, that particular doctor, one of the sons I've adopted, went into the hospital, blood pressure over 200, just skyrocketing. Went into the hospital, got out, said, okay, connect with your primary care physician, who happens to be this doctor. He calls the doctor says, oh, yeah, I saw that. So I'm going to double your medication. And then he was supposed to see him like on Thursday. Oh, no, I can't see you on Thursday. I can't see you until May. So I told him, I said, start keeping up with your numbers for your blood pressure for one. So I now know what his numbers are. His numbers are returning to normal. That doctor said, oh, I can't see you until May. I said, that is absolutely unacceptable. I said, you call them back and you say you'll see his nurse if you have to, but you are going to be seen like right now. I said, because your numbers are returning to normalcy. The last thing you want is to be taking double medication when your numbers are returning to normalcy. I go back into that practice today. And I talked to that office manager. I said, listen, this is just how it all worked out. This is why you need us. And then the office manager shares with me, oh, yeah, we've just also lost our records management person. I have been in this office 7 days a week for the last 3 weeks. The doctor is on vacation. He says, I'm going to circle back and I'm going to have this conversation with them again. He said, because I can't keep doing this. I said, but imagine if that patient didn't have me to tell him not to do that thing. You're now giving him double doses of medication that he didn't need because his numbers are returning to normalcy because the doctor didn't have time to see him. Whereas if he had remote patient monitoring, which is what we're talking about for your practice, everyone would be in the know.
Right. Where's the doctor who can just practice medicine and not have to worry about all the nonsense? That's what this is. Look, I took notes and y'all get ready. I'm connecting like crazy. The redneck connector is going to work, Robert. I'm serious because that's what it is. They don't know about it. And if they did know about it, they may not trust enough or think it's important or think, just whatever and sweep it under the rug. And meanwhile, veterans and everyone else that we care about, loved ones, ourselves, or paying the price. And then we get mad at the doctor who is doing their best, right? And they're struggling, right?
Well, Mike, not to interrupt you, but to what you were all talking about, what Shannon was saying about the system is broken. It is also, it's broken in so many aspects, even from a reimbursement perspective, that the medicines that I don't like to call drugs medicine because they're not designed to really heal, but the real true medicine that is healing, that heals the body, and some of these procedures that are holistic in nature are not covered by the insurance companies. So, we're really dealing with a system that's centered all around disease and the management of disease rather than the healing of disease. And a lot of these things, like, why don't they, instead of putting somebody on a drug they're going to have to be on for the rest of their life, which is going to cause a bunch of other symptoms that is going to cause the patient to go on a bunch of other drugs for the rest of their life and cause them to feel miserable for the rest of their life. Why not do things that heal the body and address the underlying root cause?
Okay. Bravo.
But these things aren't covered by the insurance companies, right? And so, in a lot of areas, the providers have their hands tied, but that's kind of like where the integrative medical model comes in, because you're talking about the integration of like Eastern and Western medicine, but also the best of insurance and cash pay elements weaved in throughout a practice to get the best results, so physicians can, achieve their Hippocratic oath is to do the best results by their patients by giving them the solutions and treatment and the treatment plans that will actually heal the patient and address the underlying problems that they're experiencing. That is the grounding I've had in healthcare since I was in my early teens. And my dad was diagnosed, a physician, traditionally trained physician, was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And that got him started on his journey. Like, well, him and my mom, like, oh, we're not going to go down this path of the traditional treatments, and started doing other things. And he completely reversed it. And people aren't aware even that these types of treatments are out there, which is really sad, because people are suffering. A lot of people out there suffering with chronic disease.
And that's why I get so excited about OptiVets, because again, you're looking at alternative treatments that are proven, but you just gotta, what is it? My grandma would say, you don't know what you don't know. And so how do we get people to know? We talk to them, we share with them, we share the data, we share the data points. And like I said, Shannon already knows I'm over the moon. I'm waiting on my head mapping thing, because I was actually going to go through the course, but now I don't even have to do that. I don't have to invest more time in learning something else new. This is already a part of the system.
Yeah, girl, you're going to get yours for free, and it's accessible outside of the VA as well. You know, Beverly, you brought up a really good point, and I do want to say, if we have anybody listening that actually is working inside the VA, to their defense, like, I'm sure that their working conditions are not always optimal either. So they're working, you know, not feeling their best. And so, you know, energy begets energy. So then they take it out on the vets, or aren't showing up right because, like you were saying, the medical billing department lost their person. So they're like chasing their tail. And David, you're like, the doctors aren't getting paid. So they're exhausted. They probably can't pay their bills. So they are short and snappy when the patient comes in. So it's all cyclical and it's all connected.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had a group here recently, probably 30 days, 45 days ago, David probably remember, that local, that has 3-4 offices, and the doctor had no idea. I won't say the name of the office, but they had no idea that they had written off $8 million worth of claims. Nobody informed the doctor. The doctor's wondering, where the heck is all the revenue in the account? What's going on? I'm working my tail off. Nobody told them about it. They just made a decision. Hey, it's 60 days. You write it off. We're going to go on. In the meantime, the doctor's on the hook to, this is for some allografts and for some other things. They're on the hook to still pay those manufacturers for that. And so, to David's point, growing up, people think, oh, the lawyers and the doctors and the so-and-sos, they're so wealthy. These poor people are barely keeping their lights on now. Mm-hmm. I have a very good friend that went from private practice, had GI practice out in Arizona, that went to go back working for a hospital because he said, it's getting harder and harder to get reimbursed. And billers, coders, credentialers are a dime a dozen. Of people like, I'm a huge advocate, as you can tell, of David's companies. Full revenue cycle management companies that really know their stuff are not a dime a dozen. And really quick who's going to stick the landing or not. And so the frustrating point is, when David and I are talking about this, like for this particular clinician, he's going back to the office manager, who's probably the person responsible for managing the billing person, that knows if they switch and David's team comes in and knocks it out of the park like they've done every single time, she's probably going to lose her job because she's getting her check every 2 weeks. And I hate to say this, and the doctor is getting paid based on profitability after everyone else is paid. Last person to get paid, just like all of us here. You own a company, everyone else gets paid first. And it's frustrating because I see this, and David's team goes in and says, okay, here's what we can do. Here's what we're likely to do. Here's the stuff that's a long shot. And it costs the doctors nothing up front. Why the heck aren't you jumping on this? $8 million, my God, I'd freak out if it was 80 grand. And $8 million, and they're just thinking about it. And I used to have a full head of hair, but I pull it out every time I get on these calls because it's like, they're going to do this for free. They're not going to charge you unless you get paid. Why the heck wouldn't you do it?
Well, here's another thing. What we are able to do is tell you exactly how much you left on the table. I love walking into a doctor's office and saying, do you know how much you left? Because I can tell you. I can even tell you the breakdown of where you left the money, because that is not what they do. They are again are focused on their patients. And the other thing is they don't want to fight CMS. It's like fighting your parents. You don't want to do that. The last thing you want to do is fight with your parents because you know they're probably going to win. So when you have those numbers, and I'm looking at Shannon's comments for facts, I can look at those numbers and I can tell you over the last 12 months exactly how much you left. That same practice that I was referencing a few moments ago, of the two doctors, he had the most money out there. He had like 187,000. I think she had like 167. But so between the two of them, over $300,000, all because he said, nah, I don't think so. But when I talked to his office manager today, he was like, you know what? When he comes back, I am going to have this conversation with him again. And I'm like, I told you, whenever he was ready and it was painful enough, then he'd be ready to listen.
Yeah.
Two things real quick. Number one, if it looks like, why is he looking like me? Like I know what you're talking about, because I actually do a little bit. And that's why I'm excited to introduce everyone and talk. Seriously, I'm going nuts because I hear this a lot. And when solutions and people who are passionate experts, I can't get enough of it. And Shannon, you too. I know people who are behind the scenes working with military, doing great things for families. That's the intro, right? And all they want to know is you're trustworthy and you have their best interests at heart. That's pretty obvious on this panel. That's why I'm about to lose it. My camo hat's going to blow off, David. Beverly will tell y'all, man, boy, he's staying calm because I want to make sure the message gets out. And some of the doctor buddies are here, and I'm seeing the comments trickle in. There's a lot more on the platform. So thank you guys. If you're in tune, you're not seeing your comment. Hey, tech issues, not my fault, promise you. But they'll clear up. Thank you for being here. We will put the contact information across all platforms so you guys can reach out and support, share, and find solutions. Right? If you're hearing this, go share it with somebody. They need this. All right. Do your due diligence, but give them what they need. All right. It's a daggum shame to see a doctor go through all that training and all that stuff and struggle. And it can't be good for the home life, the kids. I mean, the trickle effect could go on and on and on. So, you know, for humanity's sake, just share these folks with people. That's why we have them on the hounds. You know, we don't have folks that we can't trust on the hounds. This is a serious issue. So I just had to put that out there, guys. I'll tell you what, because I could go on and on and on with you guys, and I think people can listen to it and absorb it. But Beverly, I'm going to tell you, quick, everybody, and Shannon, we'll go with you. So you've been quiet. What improves first when infrastructure is fixed? Is it morale, revenue, patient outcomes? In your lens, what is the most important or the first that comes when it's fixed?
I would say morale. And everything follows energy, and morale is energy. So better energy, better money, better service, better outcomes. And, you know, rarely will you ever find somebody that's been served and healed not want to turn around and help somebody else.
That goes straight. Yeah. That's why we exist, Beverly. That's why the whole community is here. I came out of the cracks. Now I want to seal the cracks, right? Same thing.
Exactly.
If you have the cure for cancer, you don't keep that to yourself. You share it. Same thing with solutions, right? All right. Robert, what say you, brother?
Education and communication. I think that's it first and foremost. You know, when you're meeting somebody for the first time, there's a bit professionally, personally, there's a bit of a barrier until somebody says, hey, I do that too. And all of a sudden it's dropped down, and then the doctors loosen up and said, you know what? No one has taken time to explain this to me. I didn't know that there was options. I didn't know that I could do these things. And so for me, it's a twofold answer. It's educating them on their options and improving communications, you know, because with the space that I'm in, the three legs of the table are the clinician, the distributor, and the manufacturer. And like a three-legged table model, one leg's pulled out, it collapses. Gets back to why we built our Nimble platform. Instead of the communication going through all these different platforms, texting, calling, faxing, emailing, it all goes through one ecosystem so everybody knows what's happening. Was this paid? Was this ordered? Was this shipped? Education and communication.
Wonderful. This is David.
Yeah, morale, the confidence of a provider and their team, really. You guys can hear me okay, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. I agree on the morale issue. When you teach a provider, a physician, that they can actually own and operate a thriving and successful private practice, that puts them in a position of having really no competition, that nobody can compete with them, it's really game changing. And it changes the way that they are able to treat and help patients, how they can treat and help their team. And it's really dynamic. I've done it so many times, and, I like it started with my father, and I remember it like it was yesterday. But when you get that right, when you get that business component right, and you're getting the money in for the patients that you're seeing, everything changes completely throughout the whole entire organization.
So Dr. Jesus come in, and now the Hound's very own Dr. Christopher Colombo, man. Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm sitting there going, where are they at? They're here. They just shouting in the void. Thank you, Tech Issues. So thrilled to see it. I tell you what, Beverly, I know your expertise. I know your heart. All right, you're very humble. Tie this all together. Let me ask you it this way, and then we're going to go to a lightning round right after we get your contact to these folks. But cap us off in just a minute. How does operational clarity inside the practice change leadership clarity? What is it easier? Is it better? Doctors want to lead. People want to lead. Explain that. Tie it together. Revenue, workflow, veteran care.
One of the things that I find myself saying is don't bring me anything unless you can pay for it. Because it's all great to have these wonderful ideas, but whether we like to admit it or not, things cost. They have to be funded. And when you are funded, you're able to exhale. That's where we look at serve, heal, and recover. When you are able to serve, your head's much easier so that you can focus on healing. And now the whole recovery is in place. And now we're all off to the races. When that name came up, I was like, that is it. Self-explanatory. Serve, heal, recover. You do those are those same 3 legs that Robert's talking about. They all are a part of each other. They all support each other. And when your doctor is in his practice and he doesn't have to worry about whether or not he's able to afford that piece of equipment or whether or not he can pay that nurse practitioner, everybody's happier. I know y'all remember back in the day when you would actually go to work and people were pranking each other and they were laughing and they were joking. Whereas now, they're like, God, am I going to get paid now? And there's a completely different feel in the offices, and they don't have to be, especially when you've done all the work. And all you have to do is go get your money. And I think that's the other thing that's confusing to me too, is you've done the work. It's not like you have to get more patients. It's not like you have to have extended hours. It's not like you have to have additional services. This is money that you've already got. You just got to go get it. If somebody told me I'm like, Robert, 80,000, you tell me I got $800, I'm going on the corner to go find my money.
Yeah. I'm a simple man. I'm not getting paid half of my paycheck when I do the whole week's worth of work. And that's the sad reality. So don't get mad at your doctor. And by the way, Christopher Colombo, yes, you came at the right time, man. Birds of a feather flock together. That guy's an innovator. And he's also a retired Lieutenant Army Colonel. So there you go, Shannon. Hey, winner, chicken dinner. So thank you for tying that together. Your heart and brilliance pulling this panel. So here's what I want to do. Just take 30 seconds or so before we go to the lightning round. Hopefully you don't mind to stay a few minutes, y'all. We won't keep you forever, but this is too good not to do. I really love your all's heart, your brilliance, and how well organized, thought out, and experienced you are. This really is something special, so I can't wait to chat afterwards. So, David, we'll start with you. All right, just tell people how to connect with you. Who do you serve best, and who should reach out to you and where?
I serve medical organizations, medical physicians in private practice, small groups, big groups, ambulatory surgery centers. I can really scale to any level. Best way to get in touch with me probably be via email. My email is David, D-A-V-I-D, @Pareja, which is P-A-R-E-J-A medicalconsulting.com. David @ParejaMedicalConsulting.com. or if you wanted to call me at my office, it's 352-765-0123. Those are probably the two best ways to get a hold of me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, my friend. We're going to get this out here. We'll make some short videos, get this message out long after the show. Shannon, all right. All about military veterans. Thank goodness you exist. I can't carry the conversation and go forward. Tell the good folks, who should call you, how do you help, and where do they find you?
Okay, if you are a military veteran and you would like to have access to non-narcotic solutions for pain management, PTSD related symptoms, not sleeping well, and you want to access the benefits that you deserve and earned through the VA, I'm your girl. I will help navigate with you.
Hey, Hounds, we got a military running wild up in here. All right, so share this. Connect with Shannon. Shannon will put it out everywhere. We'll talk afterwards. Thank you, my friend. And last but not least, the guy who was here earliest. All right, you won me over easy. And then as I got to know you, brother, man, thank God you do what you do. So don't be shy. Who do you serve? Who should reach out to you? How do they find you?
We work with clinicians nationwide. Now, again, I said at the onset, my involvement is primarily on the advanced wound care side. If folks go to onehealthsource.net, that's the number 1.one, you'll see we do a variety of other things as well. My focus today was just talking about advanced wound care, but we can offer for cash pay patients discounted meds that they couldn't receive those prices at the local pharmacy, and a variety of other things. But my direct number is 214-289-3862. And lastly, email address rob@onehealthsource.net. And again, I appreciate being invited to the show today. Oh,
my pleasure, Beverly. Woo, you overpromise and overdeliver. I think, is that a thing, David? Dadgummit. Hey.
Hence my saying that these people are the wind beneath my wings, which is why Serve, Heal, and Recover came into play. If you go there, literally everything that's on that website allows you access to each of these people. I am just the front face, but again, without them, I would not be the success that I am becoming, because they just got what I'm looking for. Because if not, I wouldn't be bothered.
They got what a lot of people are looking for. So I am woo-wee. All right, I will keep it calm. Hey, we'll make some videos. We'll get this out. We'll keep the party going because folks need this. And I really appreciate it. And you all worked all day long, and here you are, right? Most of us 8 o'clock or later. You put your money where your mouth is. All right. So do you all fill up? Just a quick minute. You want to play the lightning round real fast? Yeah, we'll get some good shorts from that too. All right, let's do it. Y'all feel like it?
Go.
Let's do it.
David's like, man, I'm good. Like, he's been here. All right. So, all right. No explanation, just quick answers. What comes to the brain? Robert, we'll start with you. The biggest mistake independence practices make is
lack of education of their options.
Good. Shannon?
Oh, what's the question?
Oh, no, you don't win the prize. We'll pick on David.
Not knowing their numbers and leaving their numbers in the hands of other people in their operation. Not taking a laser focus at any unpaid claims over day 60. If that claim hits day 61, you better be aware of it. If it hits day 91, you better be aggressively pursuing it. And if you're not, and your team's not, you need to get a different person than they're doing, helping you get that money in the door.
And Shannon, that was my bad. That was a loaded question because you're like, probably I'll help veterans. So that was on me. Egg on the camo hat. Okay. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to throw it out there. Beverly, you want to go after the biggest mistake independence practices make?
Giving into overwhelm and not seeking advice and not going to people who already know the answers and they're there to help you. Just admit there's something that you don't know and let these other people handle it. And then everybody is, again, what is it? As the water rises, all boats rise as well.
Amen. So here's the second one. Most revenue leaks begin at X. Whoever wants to go. Beverly, you want to go?
I'm with David. 60 days. If it's beyond that, you should be on your money. You should be jumping on it right then.
Anybody else want to chime in? Most revenue leaks begin at
when the patient calls to schedule the appointment.
He said that with authority. He's been here a time or two, right? He's done this a while. Yeah. Anybody else like to add to it? I got more.
David took the words out of my mouth. I agree. That's where the ball starts rolling.
Yeah, he's kind of the authority in that. I don't know if we picked that up the last hour. Yeah, he knows his stuff. He leads on that lens. I love it. All right. So the future of independent medicine depends on blank. And you don't have to answer none of this. If it's a stupid question, you just go on with it.
Innovation.
Innovation. I love that one. There you go.
Turning it from a disease management model to a healing model.
Oh, see, now, hopefully Christopher Columbo's still listening. Keep going. The future of independent medicine depends on blank.
Shannon, that's you.
Well, I would say self-advocacy, not taking no for an answer, standing up for yourself, knowing your rights, trusting your gut and your intuition. Yeah.
Yes. My father is a veteran, and it took me forever to get him over there. Same thing. I said, Dad, you got to kind of, you can't just give up. You got to keep pressing. And
also a lot of martyrism from our vets saying like somebody else deserves it more than me. No, we all deserve it.
Yeah. I got a lot of family and friends like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's also, Mike, the clinicians admitting when they need help, swallowing their pride, putting their egos aside and say, look, I really need somebody to come in and help me instead of trying to build a plane in the air. You get people like we have on this panel that are experts, content experts in their areas that come in and help you. It's okay to ask for help.
Absolutely. I'm ready for the after party, but I got one more question. David, you got something to add?
I was going to say, and asking help of the people that know what they're doing. Because a lot of times, like, physicians, they want to ask for help for the people that are around them in their circle, their inner circle. And a lot of times these people, they're telling them what they want to hear. And a lot of people in an operation have been elevated to a level where they just don't have the training they're not prepared for. And that's not bad entirely. That was how I started in healthcare operations. But it's their willingness to acquire the skill set to excel in that position so they can have the best role that would serve everybody in the operation. So
bravo. Hey, last one. The first thing I look in any practice is first thing I look for. That's it. Hang on. I must have been tired when I wrote that one. Let's see.
I have the answer though.
Yeah, okay. We'll edit that part out. I look smart.
The answer is a good listener.
Yes.
Anybody else want to save me too, or just Shannon?
Only because of my marketing background. I look at their website. That's the telltale sign. If it looks like it was put together in 5 minutes, that's usually a reflection of how they're running their practice.
And for me, it's the turnover within the office. If I'm talking to the office manager and it's like a revolving door there, then I'm like, it doesn't have to be that way. So I know that they're already stressed out.
That's a good point. Matter of fact, I had a doctor's office. It's like every week it was a new lady. I was like, what's going on in here? Now I know. I'm like, oh man. So next time I go to the doctor, I'll be sending y'all some contact info. Seriously. And seriously, folks, don't feel like, well, I'm nobody listens. You never know. Just open up, right? I walked into the doctor's office sick as a dog several months ago, and they looked sadder than me. And I noticed that. I was like, what? I'm the one with the flu or whatever. And it was really depressing. And honestly, it was so sad that I walked in with the flu smiling, in a camo hat. And it was like nobody, but now we see behind the curtain. And so not to go on and on, but thank you all, because this has been one of the best panels. It really seriously has. You were expert.
I got good friends.
You do.
I got really good friends.
There wasn't all this kind of, aggravation. It was well balanced. You guys really understand the problem. You're working on valid solutions. You're taking it next level, partnering together, collaborating to get shit done. That's music to my country ears. The Hounds love it. Our medical people in here we're going to hear this. They're going to love it too. So that's what this is about, man. Getting things done through trust, connection, and no nonsense. Right, Robert?
100%.
You got it. So I appreciate you all. Beverly, you are amazing. We love having you in the Hounds business, and the impact you are making through folks like this. It's extraordinary. So let's get it done, because hey, sitting around waiting ain't no daggum solution. Making stuff happen, that's what we're all about. So folks, again, in the comments everywhere, thank you. If we didn't get to show you on screen, hey, tech issues, joy of live stream, but we appreciate your grace. Share this, tag some folks on LinkedIn. Get these great, brilliant people out there, especially the veterans. I mean, come on. Everybody's got a veteran somewhere in your life. They're struggling, probably in silence. So speak up, let them grumble at you if that's what they do, but they probably turn around and call them anyway, right? That's the whole point, right? Don't worry about outcome. Say something kind, do something nice, let it be. But we got to be more bold about getting out there. We got to get a little bit more courageous to say, hey,
a little more fight.
Yeah, a little more fight. Just like David over here. That's my, I wouldn't act this way if we were in person. You know that, right? Like I could be a Zoom tough guy, buddy. So, but I do. And April Wyatt, I'm gonna pop her up here because listen, anybody that comes in and helps and supports, that's a team effort. So, my friend, we just wanted to say thank you. I'm sorry I didn't warn you, but by this time you should know I'm doing this. It's like, oh, it's 8 o'clock. Better put the light on and whatever else.
This has been such a great conversation. Oh my goodness, I've learned so much. And yes, my husband is a veteran, and I just really appreciate all the work and support that you're doing for everyone to receive better health care, and also supporting the doctors, right? That, as you all talked about, the broken system, and people's opinions are not even aware of what's available to their patients. So thank you for everything that each of you are doing out there. And thank you, Beverly, for bringing these amazing people together. Yeah, you attract, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe. So thank you.
Yeah, she's a bug zapper for awesome. So
thank you, April.
You got it. April 15th, mark your calendars. Oh, before I get there, just take steps, right? You don't have to solve all the problems. Take steps, reach out to folks like this so they can refer you where you need to go. And mark your calendars, April 15th. That will be a stellar show, next level of kindness worldwide. But the impact, how communities are coming together, businesses, and what is happening on a global level. It's not just feel good. Yeah, kindness is feel good. But we're talking about Results City and some of the people who are on board with this. So kindness started off, kindness worldwide. It was a nice idea. Now it's in the expansion phase. Now things are getting done. Governments are improving, property rates going up, crime rates going down, documented. Filmed, it is rolling. So guys, don't miss this. We got 2 powerhouses in film and Hollywood coming with us on the 15th. And thank you for all the support and everything you do. Shameless plug, because it's well earned. Don't do anything alone. Build a business, make an impact like these folks. If you need people, resources, and support, if you don't have that, hey, we're not the only option, but we may be your option. We're trust first, trust always, right? Work through people, push each other up. No performance, no nonsense, none of that goofiness. Be yourself, be your best self. Work through others like you saw today. That's it, folks. Appreciate you all. Have a good night. And don't go anywhere, because I want to make sure I got your contact and we get you loaded up. All right. Have a good one. Princess Wave time. There you go. Thank y'all for stopping by. Be sure to follow, share, and like, and send me a message if you had fun today. Y'all come back now.